End
It's
of the
been
week.
it's been a week. We got some pretty good responses from our first show about me pooping and puking all over the place, and Julia's joy
It's still there.
that she found.
Still
Yeah,
there.
what's been going on over the past week? What's the remnants of your experience now that you have about what 6 days or so in the books?
I'm not gonna lie. The remnants I was checking for a few days, but then, in truth, I just got really wrapped up in work and the kids.
So there's nothing.
No. So I guess the remnants. Okay. Let me clarify. I guess the remnants are really kind of understanding that I think that this space is really, really needed. I think that a lot of people are probably just really interested in having conversation. I think right now we have access to so much information and people.
I'm talking about the shrooms.
Oh, those. Oh.
I
went on a different. I went on a different. I was going down a different path.
I'm talking about the shrooms.
No.
Over a week has gone by
Oh.
since you've done magical mushrooms.
Oh.
How you feel?
Oh, I feel good. I feel pretty good. Like this week, it was just kind of like I've been like trying to stay in that center place. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where it's like you remember being there. It's not like passing out and not knowing something. So I think it's just like I'm going to always try to find that place so I'm calm, feeling good, not trying to be overly stressed, and going from there.
So, but are there any remnants from your experience on joy and everything else? Like, has it lasted? Is it something that you think about? Or it's just kind of like, oh, it happened and that's it?
I think that the remnants are just of taking that and then
Touchdown.
Oh.
Go ahead.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe they're not really remnants. I think I just think about it. And like try to remember that.
I'm watching the game over here
I
too.
see. So. I know. I see.
So we're doing this tonight because, why are we doing this tonight? Because I got invited. Yeah, I got invited to a business conference tomorrow, so I won't be here Saturday morning. So anytime that we have something done on Saturday, we'll try to maneuver it around if you guys care or not.
Of course they care.
This is very therapeutic for us, which is the reason why we're doing it. To be able to frame kind of the conversations that we have on a consistent basis and frame them in a way to get to a point. Like having this camera on and this microphone forces you not to yell and scream.
Right, it really does.
So you have to discuss them all out. So today I wanted to discuss our favorite day. If you don't know anything about us, but we schedule our date nights on the calendar, whether we decide to go and do something or not is a week to week thing, but we have to make the decision to not go every single week. It pops up on the calendar. We have a family calendar that we share, and that calendar it'll buzz both of us and say, hey, it's time for date night.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we try to we believe that if you want your marriage to work, you got to have some sort of courtship going on where it's just you. Excuse me. Where it's just you and your significant other, and it's no children. It's not a family day. It's just you and your significant other looking like something that you don't normally look like if you want. Doing something that you don't normally do if you want. And it's designed to build relationship between you and your partner. We have done it since day one, actually.
Yeah, I think we've always made it a point to kind of like spend time together. And I definitely understand like families right now that were in positions that we were with really young children. Like the way that we used to do it when we were in the midst of like 4 young children is Friday night was always like family night. And we would cook dinner, spend time with the kids. And then at that time, they're young. So come 10 o'clock, they're normally kind of like starting to pass out. And so Gerald and I would normally have like a cocktail together. That was our choice. You don't clearly have to do that.
9 to 1 a.m. That was like, or well, really it was more like what, 11 to
Yeah.
1, 11 to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
was party time for us when we were growing up.
Yeah, basically just hanging out together. And I can think that's the thing, you know, like spending that time. It really doesn't have to be anything extravagant. We've really, like, I think over the last year, like Friday nights has kind of been the night that we spend time together. It's the end of the week. We're tired. The kids are usually tired by that time because they do sports, they do all kinds of activities. So come Friday night, they don't want to do much. They just kind of want to relax. So we'll spend a lot of time in here, which is Gerald's office, and slash man cave slash everything, and watch a movie, hang out, have snacks. I think the joy of being a parent, honestly, is really like putting your kids to bed and then eating all the snacks you told them no, that they couldn't
I read
have.
the dopest thing online. It was like I told my kids that Italian ices have alcohol in it so that they wouldn't eat them. And now the kids are like, Mama, are those your grown-up popsicles? She's like, absolutely, don't touch them.
I think whatever it takes sometimes.
For real.
Like,
we've had sushi and put the sushi in the office and feed the kids porter subs.
I know. Like Jersey Mike's and the sushi place that we go to are like right beside each other. So, you know, I'll let the kids know like, hey, we're ordering Jersey Mike's, and they're like, yeah, it's exciting. And then order the sushi, pick up Jersey Mike's, get the sushi,
Right
come
in
in here.
Because it's all about stealing a little bit of time with your significant other. You don't necessarily have to go out all the time, or it could be a walk. It could be anything really. It could be sitting up and playing cards. Just carve out some time on a consistent basis that allows you to spend. What's the word I'm looking for? Spend time together that isn't.
This is what you're trying to say.
All right, go ahead.
You say it, and then I'll tell you what you're trying to say.
Well, I don't know what I'm trying to say, which is the reason why I'm like, I don't know.
Okay. Okay, I second guess myself because I want to cut you off, but it's about being intentional with the time that you're together, because I'll piggyback a few things that you said. One thing that you said today and something that you'd said the last podcast that I was thinking about. It's like, if you want a long marriage,
dope shit.
Oh my gosh, if you want a long, like the key to a long marriage is not getting divorced, which from a logistical standpoint is 100% correct.
100%.
Like it's 100% correct.
The only way.
And right now, like spending that time to have like a good marriage, which obviously, but honestly, like you and I, we've all seen it. We've seen really long lasting marriages that had terrible relationships within them. And that's that no one wants that. Like even those people don't want it. I think a lot of times we get stuck in those patterns and it's really difficult to get out of them, especially when you're not fully aware of them. So I think it's about trying to really be intentional with the time that you do spend together, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes to check in and really kind of be intentional with what your partner needs and vice versa.
I think that's interesting too. It's like there's many ways to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it don't have to be as regimented as what Julia and I do, right? Like it doesn't have to be, Friday at 5 o'clock. We get a reminder that's like, are we gonna do this thing?
Like date nights coming up.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're not like out roaming the town, honestly.
Most of the time it's like, no, we're not gonna go anywhere. We're gonna do something here. But also, like, I feel like we date each other almost every day. We still at least a moment in the evening time every single night. What's up?
The dog's looking at us like, what are y'all doing?
All right. You're gonna come over here and say hello. All right, go lay down. Go lay down. You're messing up the show.
But yeah, we do. We spend a lot of time talking together and really kind of communicating that. And I think it's one of those things where I don't want to just, for me personally, I don't want to just be married to you. Like, I want to be married, of course. But, oh God, the dog is a squeak toy.
Go lay down.
Like, I don't want to just be married to you just to be like, okay, I'm married and I got a husband. Like, honestly, I really want to have a healthy relationship that consists of healthy arguing. Like,
no shit.
that deals with healthy recovery and healthy. It's really difficult when we argue. I'm out for the count. Like Joe and I were talking about the other day. If he and I are having like arguments, oh God, like my whole entire everything just shuts down because he's the only person that I want to talk to. But now I can't talk to him because he's, you know, stank face. So that's really hard because we've built a relationship around each other. So if we're not okay, I am not literally okay until we're okay. And that's just us. Not everybody's like that. We're like that. I just don't want to be married just to be married. I really want to have a long, healthy marriage that I can really look back on and be very, very proud of. Something that I can share with kids.
I think the biggest thing about that too is that like understanding that you're going to argue. I don't know a single marriage. I think one of the biggest mistakes of our generation is our parents worked their tails off to keep us from knowing that they argued. Well, your parents did. My parents, they argued, and I'm not gonna talk about my parents because my mom will like to get upset when I start talking. So, but
we have two different upbringings when it comes to
I think that. So here, I'll give you an example. So Julia, she was raised where her parents did not argue in front of their children, which is great.
Like ever.
They never argued. They never had discussions like that.
I remember it.
None whatsoever. No, not even a disagreement.
Like I'm sure they did, but I don't remember them arguing at all. Like I never heard them doing anything.
Exactly. To where my parents, before they got divorced, they argued with one another to the point where so I grew up thinking that that's how you resolve conflict. You argue. And Julia, she was the opposite. She grew up thinking that you don't argue.
Yeah, I just I don't even know what I thought. Like I just never had even thought about like arguing. It just was like a thing, and then all of a sudden we argue, and our styles are different. And Gerald is definitely like the way that it was when we were younger. He's not like that now.
I was cold piece when we was younger. I yell, I scream. I tell people what to do. I'm super controlling. I've had to come off a whole lot of that over the last 18 years of being a father and a husband. So I've done it all. So, but I do know that in regards to communication, like understanding that arguing is still a part of it, and I think we argue wrong. For sure, and we're supposed to be talking about date nights.
I know. I just realized that. I realized that we're talking about this. We're supposed to be talking about arguing. F them kids.
Yeah, but it's all right if we went this right. I wrote the title ahead of time, so by the time it goes to the podcast section, it'll have
talk about what we want.
It'll have the right thing on it. But what's up?
Hold on.
What's up? You want to be on the show?
Yeah.
Come on, say hello.
Whoa.
Poke your head in there. Say no. Watch out. Don't kick it over. Say what's up.
Hey guys. I'm eating this right now.
Okay, now get out the way.
Okay.
Take Lena with you.
Okay. Come on, Lena. I was actually surprised. I didn't expect you to say yes. But here we are. No, yeah, so we'll just go and talk about what we want.
Yeah, I guess so. Talk about what we want. Argue. Let's talk about arguing.
Yeah, arguing.
The thing is that arguing is real. And it should be a part of your marriage, isn't it? I remember, I had a buddy. We was talking on the phone, and he was like, yeah, I really like this girl. We've been together for so long. We never argue. And I'm like, that ain't good. A couple that don't argue is a couple that don't have they don't resolve issues.
Do you think is it one of those things where not necessarily a blanket statement of like you have to argue, or like what's the context behind that?
Well, the definition of arguing is disagreeing, right? Is that the definition? Or do we look at arguing as a negative word, and it describes an action of like yelling at two people?
Well, I think disagreeing doesn't have to necessarily mean arguing.
Well, then let's call it disagreements for the sake of the show.
Okay.
So disagreements have to happen. So
yeah,
a couple that don't disagree, I don't know. You gotta.
I'll be honest. I've never really met a couple that hasn't disagreed on they just float through life like harmoniously.
But you only see one of two people, right? You see people who are either they don't say anything, right? That's you.
Yeah.
Or you have someone who says everything. That's me, right? we have to have a balance in regards to arguing. And I learned this, I think, not even from you. I learned this from having to deal with my children. Is that you have to take responsibility for the way you argue.
Yeah.
And even though you may feel like it isn't a big deal, if someone identifies it as it being a big deal, then you need to at least address it. That's going to be like the common theme in all of these shows is that if the person that you love has a problem, you at least should address it.
Right.
At least have a conversation. So
Right.
the conversation that I didn't want to have for 10 years was that I overpower a conversation. I take the conversation and I could be right, but it don't matter. The act of taking the conversation over is the issue to the point where the person that I'm talking to no longer wants to talk to me.
That was me.
I had to take ownership for that. Julia is a little bit different. She doesn't take ownership in conversation at all. So what?
Basically, guys, Gerald takes all the ownership, and me over here,
That ain't what I said. That ain't what I said.
I just sit there and
No, I did. I dominate conversation.
yes, you do. You do dominate conversation. You have a strong voice. I wasn't used to arguing. I never really had to argue. So arguing was really unsettling to me. It was really, really unsettling. And it caused a lot of inner turmoil for me because I didn't know how to, I couldn't, my goal was never to overpower in the conversation. It was just really to try to like have a voice. But that in itself created things. Like not being able to have that voice created something within me. So now I don't want to argue because first of all, it doesn't feel good. I wasn't used to that style. I not that he was like yelling at me like chastising. Like he wasn't like chastising me. But I'm not accustomed to being yelled at. And I would tell him all the time, I'm like, why are you yelling? He's like, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling. And it's like, you're talking to me. I still to this day like
I'm not yelling at you.
Yeah,
I'm just yelling.
Yeah, and it was something that was really, really difficult
Come
for
on,
me.
fellas, y'all gotta know what's up, right? I'm not the only one.
No, and then I'd be in there crying. I'm like, oh
even
my
though I'm
God.
looking at it, come on. You're not yelling at her. You're just yelling because you are passionate about whatever it is that you're talking about. I ain't the only one.
And there's probably some girls I know. There's probably some women. Women are the same. Like we can get loud. I generally don't get loud. I'm not really like a
Grab
loud.
knives.
That was one time I was chopping.
Right.
I was chopping.
You go.
So what can you do? No, I didn't really handle that well. It actually shut me down, and then it put me in a really uncomfortable space. Gerald's reading the comment right now. It put me in a really uncomfortable space where now I didn't know what to say. Now I was trying to avoid arguing at all costs. So to avoid arguing at all costs, I wouldn't necessarily be honest.
Thanks, Sergio.
What? I wouldn't be
You
honest.
say
with
I'm
them.
not yelling. I'm saying it with my chest. I'm with that. That's how I feel.
No, I feel like your chest was way too deep. It was way too deep. No, but I think that's the thing. I think it's a real valid thing of
I
understanding.
agree.
It breaks down the other person sometimes.
I agree, Petty.
What did it say?
She said that mindful of what I say, I can't hit below the. She can hit below the belt. That's a no-no.
Oh,
that's a no-no.
And I'm brutal. Oh yeah, brutally honest. That's what Gerald's like that too.
So,
that's actually a good point.
For real, right? So
Gerald's
here's the thing
got
about
really good comebacks. My snapbacks are terrible. I don't.
There's
have
a difference
really snapbacks.
between being brutally honest and then kind of being a jerk. And what I found is because I'm petty as hell. I'm petty when I get like backed into a corner. Like I say something and then I find out after 25 minutes of arguing I'm wrong, but I don't really like I'm too deep into this argument to be like, all right, cool, you win. I'm not doing that. I'm about to say something wild. I'm about to turn this conversation into like, do you remember back in when you did on a Thursday and we was at the grocery store, like that type of shit. Like that type.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
and it never goes well. It never goes well.
It doesn't.
So I highly suggest you not be petty.
Yeah, petty. Like like
My boy Sergio over there, he say he petty too.
yeah, I'm not really petty. So we have a really terrible combination within our relationship. So when you look at it, Gerald, first of all, he argues a lot. So let's look at the two dynamics. So you have somebody that is really quick-witted, petty at heart, completely petty at heart, petty Pendergrass, over here. You know what I mean?
Pin her ass down.
But completely has really great, can hit below the belt at any point in time. And then me, don't know how to argue, never heard arguing, cry instantaneously because I'm very emotionally led. It's really hard to hide. And so that dynamic, naive, really, and it created this really terrible dynamic. So now what I did in turn is now I'm not being honest. Now I'm not saying how I really feel because I don't want to upset him.
And that's the key to about honesty and conversation is you got to say how you feel.
Yeah.
You can't, or you either say how you feel, you don't say anything. Because you can't say everything is okay because that creates an action or a response in the other person. Like get to a no. Get to a no or an I don't know, but don't get to an answer if you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like we those things are so important in conversation. Like, oh, I can't even tell you. They are so important.
Yeah. And it's really hard to work out of those things. It's really, really hard to work out of those type of conversations. Because what really ended up happening is over time, now what I'm having to rework is I am the most defensive person in arguing. And the hard part is now that it's so deeply ingrained, I literally have no idea that I'm doing it because it's so effortless. It can be something so small where it's like, let's say I'm in the kitchen, Gerald could come in and be like, why is the back door open? Simple. Why is the back door open? Now all of a sudden, you would have thought like the bright lights on me and it's like, why is the back door open? He might as well have come in and just like aggressively pushed me down. I'm like, oh my God, why is the back door open? And then I immediately start going into stories. Oh, well, it was in here and I was cooking and then I suddenly felt like it was hot. So I decided that the door should be open. I immediately have to explain why. I think I read something about over communicating on the comment something. I over explain because I need you to know that I made a solid decision because I need you to understand that it was a good decision. And if you don't agree with me, oh my God, like my heart is just crushed. I'm like, it was a good idea. Like the back door needs to be open. I don't want the house to smell like bacon. Like, so it created something. So now
that's the answer. Right?
You have to like rework. So now I
the answer because I wanted it open. That's why I live here.
Right, and I just can't. If for the longest time, if I felt like Gerald was upset at me, oh God.
And from my vantage point, it's more like, why is the back door open? And then 25 minutes later, I'm like, so why is the back door open? It's like, oh, well, back when I was in the 3rd grade, they had doors. Or it was my first encounter with a door. It hit me in the back. I was like, God, no. I was like, forget it.
Right. No.
Forget it.
No. And I'm working on it. Like right now, every so often, they'll have a moment where it's just like, no, where it comes out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, you got to be able to check yourself. Like, and all we're really trying to do in this space and what we're trying to talk about with everybody else and provide the space for all of us that are in relationships of some sort to...
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all this. So it's where we can all discuss all of this stuff. Like, I want all of you to stay married because you want to and not lose out on your marriage because of a technicality, because that's bullshit. So we need to talk about these things. So what's the question?
You know what? That's a good question. If we have a disagreement, do we go through a period of time where we don't communicate with one another, or how do we bounce back? Great question. And 100% when we go through, so Gerald...
Bro, I will stop talking to your ass in a minute.
Oh God. Gerald will stop talking. He used to. He literally...
I will not even look at you in the face.
No, let me explain.
I will wash my own dish and put it away.
Okay, let me backstory.
I will make my own food at dinner time.
Suddenly, okay, let's explain.
I will do my own thing.
Let's explain.
Because I want you to know I don't need you.
Oh, I can't wait to answer this. Ivory, I can't wait. I'm here for you.
I'm trying to take up as much time right now because I know you're about to hit me with something crazy.
Okay, so this guy, years ago, like he is 100% honest. He will stop talking to you. I primarily am the homemaker, the caregiver. Like, I do the things. I refer to myself as a plate maker. Like, here you go, babe. Culture. Like, and I said that before. Like, you'll hear that all the time. If you understand what plate maker means, you get it. If not, I'm sorry. I just make his plate. The thing is, suddenly, when Gerald's upset at me, he's right. He won't even look at me. He'll walk right past me. Everybody comes in the room. Hey guys, how are you? Hungry? Make a little something for you. Cooking, cleaning. Suddenly, he's mad at me. Oh, he cooks for himself. He doesn't need anybody to do his own laundry. He doesn't need, I got that. And then suddenly he tried, oh, you need something? No, I don't. But I digress. The point is, yes, we go through a period where we don't communicate with each other. That affects me initially much harder than it does him. I don't know how it affects him.
Well, the question is, how do you bounce back?
Well, I was going to get there. What eventually happens is usually I am the one to initiate a conversation. Because if I don't initiate a conversation, then we could be in this for days.
Oh yeah, I'll talk to you for as long as you don't talk back.
Yeah.
Somebody got it. But the thing is, and the answer is, somebody has to break the cycle. And someone has to understand the pattern of the other person. Like, that's the hugest thing. My kids are just waving out the window and everything. Like, that's the biggest thing, is that somebody has to understand the pattern. Your relationship with your significant other should be something that you and your significant other know about. You should know that when your significant other gets upset, they're going to stop talking to you. And if they stop talking to you and you know that they're not coming back, then you have to take the step and start that conversation. Julia knows that in order for me to start talking to her, she got to argue with me. So she's going to take a couple minutes, because she's going to come in here and say, so something along the lines, I don't care what words she used to me, she going to say something like,
yeah,
that's what it said. That's what it sounded like to me. I don't care what she said. It sound like, so you're just going to walk around here being mad and not talking to me? You don't know nothing about me. You don't know nothing that's going on. You don't know nothing.
That is definitely.
But we got to get through all of that. And that conversation has to happen in order for us to come out of that situation. Because I'll stop talking to you in a minute, and I'll make you, my goal is to make you, this, I'm just going to tell you.
Well, I know. I feel it. Go ahead.
My goal is to make her know I don't need her.
And that's a really honest statement, but it's real. But
that's what I want.
That's really real. But now insert.
And if I get too mad, I'll walk out this bitch and never come back. Even though that's stupid. It's stupid, and I'll give, if I'm being really honest, I ain't going nowhere. And if I walk out, I'm not gonna make it long. Cause like, I don't know when I'm supposed to eat. I don't know what to do at a grocery store, for real, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't know what to do at a grocery store. I only know how to make sure that there's gas in my tank and her tank. I know how to make sure that the smog happens, fix a toilet. So if something breaking here, I'm straight. But if we need to do something, we're going to have a hard time. Yeah. You're not eating. Like, I'll be in here full from early this morning. The kids be like, are you hungry? I already ate.
Yeah. No, it's really true. But one thing that I want you to say is, the honesty of wanting me to know that I don't need them. I mean, and that's true. Now, insert the type of person I am, and you have to think about your partner. So I'm a very sensitive person. I'm extremely sensitive, very self-conscious, and I'm definitely a person that needs reassurance. I'm not necessarily sure where some of those abandonment issues and some of those things, I mean, I have my own understanding that those things happen, but within my relationship with Gerald, I lived in a very fearful place. So now insert insecurity and someone letting me know that I don't need him. All of these unhealthy dynamics that we created. So I'm over here like, I'm amazing, I need you to look at me. And then he's over here like, no, I don't need to look at you. We really created these really unhealthy back and forth. So what happens is we go through a period where we argue, it starts to go down, it goes up, the arguing peaks, and then we start to come down. We have a conversation, usually in the form of an argument first, and then long drawn out knockout nights of just communicating it out. And then afterwards, we really fall back in quickly. Like the second there is understanding between the two of us, I'm sitting on his lap.
Oh yeah.
Like the second, it's immediate. And I think it's always immediate. I'm gonna let you go. Sorry. No. I think it's immediate because genuinely at the heart of who we are as just two people, there's genuine love, and I really don't want to be like that with him. The hard part is I didn't know how to break out of it. I didn't know how to be like comfortable in the space.
I think that's the key to any type of arguing, is that like when you're really honest with yourself and you tell yourself the truth, like you really don't want to be arguing with your significant other.
Yeah.
You really don't want, to be feeling like this. You don't really want any of that. Then why? There's always seems to be such an issue with someone just being like, I just don't want to be mad at you. Like,
right.
There's no point. Like I literally, like me and Julia has been together for 18 years. We're coming up on our 15th year anniversary. Is it 15?
I think I'm pretty positive it's our 14th wedding anniversary.
No, I think it's 15.
This coming month. Are you sure 15?
I think it's 15.
I feel like yes, last year was 13.
But Gerald is 13.
I'll tell you this. We got married in 2008.
See, you don't even be remembering.
No, we had Gerald in 2009, which means we got married in 2008. Y'all do the math. I'm pretty sure that it's 14 years. I think that's 14. Whatever. It don't matter. I digress.
But we've been together for 18 years. So for the most part, all of my adult life, I've spent with her.
Yeah.
She's really my only friend that I've seen every single day for 18 years.
Yeah.
I've seen her every single day for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Except for when he was ignoring me,
I still saw you though. We've started from nothing. Everything that I have, you know what I mean? Like everything that I have is because of you. Like a large source of everything that's important is because of you. You know what I mean? Everything that I enjoy, like the greatest things that have ever happened in my life have been because of you. All of that has been because of you. So I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue. My pride stands up sometimes, a lot of times, all the time, in every single conversation. My pride stands up and is like, no, you need to fight. But in all honesty, like, I don't want to fight at all. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. I don't want to do anything. And that's my goal now. Like what she is describing in our arguments is something that the reason why we can talk about it now is because I've dealt with those things, right? Like I've dealt with those things. I've had those conversations with myself because I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue. So it is nothing for me to be in here and be like, I'll just be like, all right, if that's what you want. If you want to argue, and I used to get so mad at men that were like that because I always told myself I would never be a man that just said, yeah, because my wife said so. Be one of those dudes sitting in your garage drinking beer, talking about happy wife, happy life. F that. I want a happy life too. So I fought for 14 years of my marriage to ensure that I was able to get a happy life as well, which means I did not stand for the BS that I considered was BS at the time, that she made me change. And then fast forward 14 years, I'm like, bro, if I love her, why not? Because I have an expectation of what she needs to do for me if she loves me. And if she don't meet that, then she can't stay. And that's about, if there's anything that's true on this podcast, is that Julia and I's relationship is contingent upon her doing what I say and me doing what she say. It's contingent, straight up. If she doesn't meet my expectation of in a marriage that her and I have agreed to, that we have discussed and we have agreed that have to be a part of our relationship for me to consider her my wife, and there are parts of our relationship that she needs from me to be her husband, then if I don't do that, if she don't do that, she gotta go. And if I don't do that, I gotta go.
You know what? I like what you're saying. I completely agree, and I'm going to soften it just a tad.
Soften it?
Hold on, but I'm going to explain why. Because I agree with everything you're saying. But in order to make sure that there's understanding, no. But in order to understand fully what he's saying, and I like Ivory's comment. Ivory's really coming tonight, and what is it?
Sergio.
It's boundaries. We have boundaries within our relationship. I know exactly what you were saying because obviously we talk all day.
I'm about to hit him with the quote.
We have boundaries within our relationship because within our relationship, there has to be boundaries. And he's 100% correct. To stay married to me, there are boundaries that you can't cross. And despite how much I love this man, if those boundaries are crossed, certain boundaries, then it's done.
True.
And I just have to, and vice versa. True. So it's not just the expectation. We have expectation, 100%. But to soften it to a place where I feel like everybody will get it, there's boundaries. Absolutely. There are healthy boundaries.
I agree with
what
that.
I will and won't accept and what he is. And it's really hard enforcing boundaries. I have boundaries that we have teetered in arguments about because it's really hard. It's hard to be self-aware. So those boundaries. It really is hard. And then hold on. Hold on. Where is that? Harvey had mentioned something. It says, I'm big on communication, but struggle with communicating effectively. Effective communication is extremely important. I think we didn't have effective communication for many years, and that stemmed from not being honest. You can't have effective communication if you're not really actually expressing how you feel. If I'm over here saying, yeah, it's really okay, I'm okay with whatever you want to do, babe, I just love you. That's not effective communication.
We're also going to have to discuss what effective and what honest communication is, because
I think we can
but we don't have time to do that tonight. But the thing is that just because you feel it doesn't mean that it needs to be said. Some of those things you have to what we have to do is we have to learn how to be us first.
Yeah.
And your significant other has to learn how to be themselves first, so that y'all can know how to be together. A lot of times we feel a lot of things, but those things, what they really sound like is, and how you should frame it is like, I feel like this based off of something that you said, and I don't know what to do with it because that's the case. But that's not how we communicate, right? We say things like, so you saying that I'm this? Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. But it sounds like you saying this. Well, it doesn't matter what it sounds like. I understand that the words or the choice of words that I used has created something in you, right? And this is the two-way street of communication. I understand that this created something in you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the fact for me. Right. And that's where our arguments start, right? Is that I say something, and I'll just be, I'll say something to Julia. She interprets what I just said as something else. And then I correct her, and then she fights. And that's the argument, vice versa. Mm-hmm. Whether her initial fight is to deny or to alter or to change or to clear up or whatever we call it, it's still to, have the discussion outside of what I'm actually saying or accepting what I'm saying. And that's where our arguments start. So you have to be able to, there's a bunch. We can talk all night about this.
We really can. You know what? This is a good point here. Sergio said, sometimes my honesty can hurt. I think the thing about it is being honest can hurt. I think that's a really good point to say too, is that being honest, it can hurt. It really can hurt your partner to tell them how you honestly feel about something. And I think that's part of the effective communication, where I think honesty can sometimes hurt. And honesty hurt in our relationship because there was insecurity and there was a lack of stability. Because
do you think that there's a fine line between being honest and making statements that we haven't verified yet?
Like what?
So, there is no combating you saying how you feel. If I say, hey, well, you just said hurt my feelings, that shouldn't hurt anyone else's feelings.
You know what? I think that...
You know what I'm saying? But when I say something like, see you always talking shit...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That could hurt somebody's feelings, even though both statements are true, right? Both statements are true to me. You always talking shit, or you really hurt my feelings. I'm a man, so I'm never going to be like, babe, I just want you to know that my feelings were just really damaged a little bit when you said that my barbecue wasn't as tasty and tender as someone else's. I'm just really hurt. I'm going to be like, see, that's what I'm fucking talking about. You always talking about my goddamn cooking. Now you can't eat.
And then he's gonna let me just waste away.
And I'll make you a whole plate and don't put no meat on it. Because I'm petty. So, like, I think there's a fine line between what's honest and what's true, right? Because
Families are
there,
watching
I
mouth.
know, right? And what's true. So, like, usually if you're hurting someone's feelings with your honesty, it's because of the choice of words. Sometimes you choose words. There's many ways to describe what you're actually doing. So I would definitely go out of my way to express yourself. From I know, and we are 100%, like, we go to therapy. Like, that is a huge part of our lives.
Yeah,
And what we
individual
do,
therapy.
individual
He has
therapy.
his own.
We don't do couples therapy. We do individual therapy because we believe that we need to be better people first, and then she can go be a better person as well.
Yeah,
And then we can be better people together.
right. I've been doing therapy consistently for about a year now. And then Gerald's been doing it. I think probably around the same individual therapy. There was a period of time where we really felt that like couples therapy was good, and we really had some really hard issues that we had to work through. The problem that we had with it, we really liked our therapist, like really had no issues. But I think the hard part is you basically take a lot of years of heartache, you unpack it for a solid 55 minutes. 55 minutes of literally bearing the hardest parts of you and situations. And then
She's like, all right,
you're done.
time's up.
Well, it's time to go, guys.
So then we arguing for 3 days.
For 3 days, just looking at each other side-eyeing. Because really, it wasn't...
I can't believe you told that lady
right.
that.
And you know what? It wasn't a safe space because, to be honest with you, just back to Sergio, his truth irritated me. His truth irritated me. I wasn't prepared to hear his truth. I had no desire to hear his truth, and I'm sure vice versa. Because I'm over here like, what you did. Like, and I was upset. I'm like, I don't want to hear your truth. Sorry. That was just...
F your truth.
No, but that's really true. Like, I wasn't in an emotional place at that time to really hear that certain situations that I felt I was hurt, that he actually had something to be legitimately hurt about.
Yeah, but the thing is that a lot of us are at different stages of these issues. So to try to do it together, there's spaces where I'm a little further along than Julia is.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no benefit for me because there's things that she.
I would hate to hold him back, guys. I would really hate to hold him back since he's so much further in his journey. But go ahead, babe.
I can't stand you.
I will never let him. I hear all of it. I will never let him. It's okay, guys. You know what, ladies? Sometimes, they're burdened so hard. And
Shut up.
Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm done.
We're about to end this
I'm
show.
done. I'm done.
We're about to end this show because you're on that foolishness.
But he's right. In certain areas, he is further along in a certain journey, and then other areas, I'm more aware, and I've put in work a little more in this space. I'm a lot further along emotionally because from an emotional perspective, dealing with emotions, because I am emotional led. So I've had to spend a lot more time dealing with that.
New to this emotional thing.
Him,
it's
not so
crazy,
much.
bruh. If I got any dudes out here, when you tap into your emotional side, you're just gonna cry for some random shit, like watching movies, just crying. She-Hulk say something with Megan Thee Stallion, and you just shed a tear a little bit. I don't even know. It's crazy.
Okay. I mean, okay.
I know I wanted to be like this all the time.
I get exactly what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's. I remember having conversations with you, and I think he legit looked at me and was like, "This is just like," and this is after he was sober. It's like, how do you do this? Like, he was honestly looking at me like how do you do this? Like, how do you just feel it?
Raw dog these emotions is what I said. Why?
True.
How do you raw dog emotions? Like, just be out here just freely just displaying all these emotions.
Yeah.
I'd rather drink. Good thing I don't drink anymore.
Yes.
And we'll save those topics for a different show about my drinking. I feel like this show's gonna turn into all the shit that Gerald did.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I won't do it. I won't do it. If this turns into all the stuff Gerald did, I quit.
No, it could never be that. No.
Get the person starting this program. Tell them I quit.
It's you started the program.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So no, it definitely won't turn into that. I think, but the thing it does open is perspective.
Yep.
And I think that stems back to the therapy, because even though I said it very strongly and that's how I felt, there was like some aggression in there. It really is. His truth wasn't my truth, and my truth will never be his truth. So because we needed to deal with self, like there was things I wanted some affirmations from him because I lacked.
Ooh.
I had lack in my heart. I had lack. So therefore, I was looking for him to fill those spaces.
Sergeant, that's straight, man. I met you in jail.
Changed. Gerald changed my life for the better. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I met you in jail, Sergio. It's all right, man. Look, that's why we doing this podcast right now. That's why we doing this podcast. Well,
oh, Gerald.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I met you in jail. That's how I be. I was on some F-boy stuff way back then, and I'm not an F-boy anymore. And now that I'm not an F-boy, we can have these conversations about how we really have to do it. And we'll say this last final thing before we jump up out of here, because my phone about to die and everything else is, reach out to us. Let us know if there's anything that we can do for you guys. Like, what we really just want to do is like really just pour into other marriages, and really for us, what we learned, what we wish we had when we were coming up was solid marriages around us that we felt comfortable together being with.
Right.
Because what we ultimately got was there were married couples or wives.
Friends, or just friends.
Yeah, there were married wives who were friends with her, and men that were friends with me. But I'm listening to them talk about, how men don't like this and all this other stuff, and I don't know what she's listening to and stuff like that.
I appreciate the dialogue.
But I think what we want to do is just create some camaraderie amongst married couples or relationships.
Yeah.
People that are in long-term relationships or whatever it may be, and just support each other, man. Marriage is hard. Trying to blend your life with another person is like the hardest thing that I've ever done. And then don't get me started on kids, like when you have other human beings that kind of act like you in the bad ways, and a lot of the bad ways, and then also kind of act like you in the good ways, and then also act like your wife in the bad ways. Oh my goodness. Woo.
But you can't take it out on the kids.
And you can't beat them kids up or nothing like that. I'm just like, man.
Oh. And
so there's a lot. So and that's what we want to do. We want to talk.
I think another thing that I want to chime in on real fast is creating a space. It is extremely important for us to create a safe space. We have worked individually and together over more recent years to really create a safe space. This is a safe space, and we want to pour into other people and to allow other people to speak into us. But we also just want to create a safe space to where we can have these conversations, and you're just listening to two people talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no hidden agenda. It's just about, this is what we deal with. What do you deal with? I also really want to know, in people that listen to this now and then even later, what are some topics or some really hardcore issues that you've had to overcome? Nothing is off the table. Being open is definitely new to me. Gerald's been out sharing himself for like years, and I'm just kind of in the back like, you're doing amazing.
Everybody's like,
so here we are.
Married?
I know. Here I am. I'm real.
Yep.
I'm real.
So, and we're definitely talking about blending families for sure. So we thank you for
spending your Friday night with us.
Spending your Friday nights with us. We definitely, if you have some time in the area, maybe we can get you on the show as well, and we can kind of collaborate. We just want to support marriage and support couples and other people who love hard and love their significant others and love their children and love their families and want to protect and preserve it. We just want to hold hands with you and support you while you do so. That was the goofiest thing in the world. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night, and
we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. I don't even know when, but we'll see you.
We'll let you know.